everyone. This is Karen Hooley, and I'm excited to be here today on YouTube again. It's been quite a while since I've done this, and you'll probably notice that I am actually in a new place. The last time I did a live was, I think, back in May. It might have been the beginning of June, but I'm pretty sure it was May. And I think I told you that we were moving to the Tri-Cities area of Washington, and we are now currently in a rental. And this is my new house, my new office temporarily. It's kind of tight in here, so I can't wait for our new house to be built. We're getting close to actually starting the build, so I'll keep you guys updated. I see someone had come in. If you're willing to let me know who you are and where you're watching from. Today, I'm going to start a new weekly, I don't know if you want to call it podcast, but kind of a chat every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific. And it would be noon Eastern. And if you're in another time zone, there's a ton of time converters online that you can check to see what time. But if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel and you'll know right away when I go live. So I hope everybody is excited to learn a little bit more about my mystery crochet along. I've called my new weekly podcast Crochet, Coffee, and Chat. So every week we're going to definitely be talking about something crochet related. And I always have coffee with me. Today I'm using my Fraser's Ridge mug from, now if I can think of the name, Polly Studios. This is one of my favorite mugs. It's actually a Outlander themed mug, and I don't know how many of you are Outlander fans, but I'm a huge Outlander fan. I've read the entire series in full, I think, since 2013, probably 6-7 times. So I'm anxiously awaiting the next book in the series. And just so you guys know, if you're Outlander fans, I have not watched the current or the season that has just ended because we don't have stars yet. So, and especially now that we're in a rental, we're going to wait till we're in our new house to get standard television and some of the extras. So there you go. So let's talk about the mystery crochet along. It starts, well, actually registration's open right now, and you can go to my website, and I'll put the link in the show notes, but you can go to my website, and on my blog, you will see the registration information. So it's not the most recent post, it's the one right before that. So go ahead and check that if you're interested. What I do with my crochet alongs, and if you followed along before, you know that I start at an extreme discount, and then once I start dropping the clues, I raise the price $1 every time a clue drops. So you can join at any time during the actual crochet along. But if you, excuse me, let me get some coffee here. Excuse me. Woo, that's weird. If you join after the first clues drop, you're going to see a price increase. So right now, to register for the crochet along, it's $3.99. The final price of the final pattern is going to be about $8. I don't have it laid out yet, but it's based on the number of pages usually, and based on the number of charts I have for this pattern, it's going to be about an $8 pattern. So so you're getting the 50% off right off the bat. So at the end of the crochet along, you will, well, as soon as I get the pattern completely laid out, everybody who purchased the crochet along registration will get a copy of the final pattern. So hopefully you will do that. When you register, the first thing you're going to get is the the facts sheet. You're going to get that a link to that right away. And the fact sheet's going to tell you everything about the crochet along. And so in this case, what it tells you, there's a section that's called What You Need to Know, and then there's a section that gives you all of the details about the pattern and what yarns I used and stuff like that. Just so you know, it's a top-down triangular shawl, and it's about 70 inches wide in wingspan and 31 inches deep. So it's a really large shawl. And it actually, I know a lot of people don't like the triangular shape, but because of how big this shawl is, it looks really great on every figure. It's so long. It actually is not like a traditional shawl where people say it points to their butt or whatever. They just don't like that. It's a little bit longer. So there you go. I personally used lace weight yarn for the original sample. And in the materials list, I talk about that it's 1,240 yards of lace weight. You can actually use, and I've talked about this in blog post, not in the blog post, but in social media, and I'm going to do it again here, is that you can select to use fingering weight or sport weight for this shawl. I wouldn't go any heavier than sport weight. Even a DK might be a little too heavy for it because of how big it is. You will have to, if you want it the exact same size that I have done mine with, you are going to need to check your gauge to see. And I did do a pretty loose gauge with the lace weight. So fingering might be right there, and so will the sport might be a little bit bigger. So just, you can play with it. You don't have to follow gauge exactly. So with this shawl, I mean, if you go a little bit bigger, it'll be even wider wingspan and longer in depth. As far as the yardage you need, I'm telling everyone right now, if you're going with the fingering weight, try to get about, I would say, 1,400 yards. That's kind of where I think the sweet spot is. I'm actually going to be doing the crochet along with you guys, and I'm going to be using a fingering weight yarn as well. That way, when I release the pattern, I actually have a good idea of what the yardage is going to be for that. If you do a sport weight, I'm going to be working with you guys who are using the sport weight to determine how much yardage we'll probably need, but I'm thinking in the 1,500 to 1,600 range. I'm thinking it might be less than that if you get the gauge. So just so you guys know, so fingering weight, sport weight is okay. Get your skeins or hanks at least 400 yards a piece for those two weights. I'm going to be using this Araucana, I always say that wrong, Huasco. It's from Knitting Fever. And this one is a fingering weight, and they're 454 yard skeins. And now I only have 3 colors of this yarn, but they all kind of go together a little bit. So I'm still trying to decide what order I want to use them in, but this is the yarn I'm going to use for the crochet along while we're actually working it. So I wanted to let you know that I'm going to definitely be using only 3 colors. I recommend 4, but you don't have to. You can use a gradient. You can use a solid color. You can use a variegated. You can use a long striping, whatever you want to use. You're welcome. Definitely welcome to try it out. And if you're struggling with any of the numbers or, as each step progresses, we are going to discuss, if there's anybody out there who doesn't like how their gauge is turning out or that kind of thing, we'll talk about that. And that's my next thing I wanted to tell you is that the way this crochet along is going to work is we're going to actually have a forum on my website, and in the fact sheet, if you've got your fact sheet, you're definitely going to want to follow the first thing where it says what you need to know, how do I get the clues and join in the camaraderie of the MCAL. And you're going to need to be a member of my forum to get the clues. So if you want the clues, there's instructions here where to go on my website, and I'll also post it in the show notes. I don't have the forum listed on my main web page right now because I'm still tweaking little things, and I don't want people to get in there that aren't part of these this mystery crochet along. Or I also have a forum for all my pattern testers in there as well. And if you're interested in being a pattern tester, go to my website. Down in the footer area of my website, there's a page about be a pattern tester, and it gives you all the information on what you need to do. But just so you know, you do have to be a member, and every time the clue drops, which is going to be start on September 2nd, which is a Wednesday, and every Wednesday for 4 weeks, starting the 2nd, I am going to drop a clue, and that's when the prices will go up. The last clue will go up September 23rd, and you have until October 9th, which is a Friday, to finish your shawl and be qualified for one of 6 prizes. And I want to thank Knitting Fever one more time because they generously donated 6 prizes. And I want to show you what they are in just a second. But I want to go over some of the facts here really fast before we get to that. For those of you who've just joined me in the chat or in the live here, go ahead and tell me that you're here and where in the world you're watching from. That would be great. And ask me any questions. If I'm going along too quickly, let me know, and I will try to answer your questions too. So if there's any questions. Let's see. So we talked about that there's prizes when the clues are dropped. We talked about whether you can use a different yarn, and we talked about that. You can use whatever colors you want. I mean, you could be totally monochrome, you know, like a very light gray down to a really dark gray, or really a pale red to a dark red, whatever colors you want. You can mix them up. You can make them wild and crazy. You can, you know, just use one color. We talked about that. So just, you know, the sky's the limit with this one. I always design my mystery crochet alongs so that no matter what colors or color you choose, the pattern is just going to work. So it's up to you. Pick something that you really like. You can change the size. That's another question that's on here that I answer. You can change the sizing. However, you're going to have to do the math to figure out how to get the next clue to work. Hi, Gina. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm excited for this too. I'm really excited to do this. And thank you for having Knitting Fever sponsor our prizes. I'm going to show them in just a second. But anyway, for the sizing, I'm not going to get into a whole lot of, hello there. It's good to see you. I'm so glad you guys are here and you're introducing yourselves finally. If you guys have any questions or if I'm going too fast, let me know. Anyway, let's go back to sizing here really quick. If you decide that this shawl is too big for you or too small for you, you know, and you want to increase the length and the width or decrease, you can totally do that. You're going to have to do the math though. I mean, I'll help you with what I can, but changing up the pattern is going to take a lot of time, at least for me, out of my schedule. So I'll do what I can to help you figure out the formulas to get the math that you need. But I'm not going to be able to take the time to adjust the pattern for every single person who asks. So it's just not going to be in my schedule. I apologize for that up front. But most of you who join my mystery crochet alongs pretty much know how to do that yourself. So we're good with that. I mean, most of you guys can help each other out too. And that's what the forum's for as well, is that when I can't get in there and you have a question, maybe somebody else can answer it before I can get in there. And then I'll say yay or nay if you're heading down the wrong path for this. So let's see, we changed this up. And for those of you who always ask me, all of my patterns are always going to have the written word and the chart. So if you would like to read charts, there's going to be a chart in there for you. If you like to only the words are there. And if you need to be able to go back and forth between the two, you can go back and forth between the two. That's one of the biggest things about me and my patterns, no matter where you buy my pattern, and or at least the ones that I self-publish, I should say. All of my patterns will include both charts and words because I know everybody reads patterns differently. So that's really important to me that you get that. And of course, when you're working on the crochet along, if you need help, that's what the forum's for. So make sure that once you've purchased your pattern or purchased your registration for the crochet along and you download your fact sheet. And here's, again, for those of you who just came in, the fact sheet looks like this. Make sure you follow the instructions on the left-hand side of the page on making sure you're able to look at the forum. And just as a kind of a side note, for those of you who may have already registered for the crochet along, I probably on Friday, maybe Monday, depending on how my schedule goes this week, I am going to send out an email to everyone who's purchased the registration, because a lot of you have purchased the registration but haven't contacted me to let me know that you're in the forum. So those of you who are pattern testers for me, you're going to need to contact me too, because there's a couple of you I've already set up, but because I know you were pattern testers, but I know there's a couple who haven't. I have to make you active so that you can see the end of summer crochet along threads. And in that email that I'm going to send out later this week, it'll have photos of what if you can't see certain things, that's when you need to contact me. So, and I will have pictures of what you should see and what you shouldn't see. So there you go with that. So now let's talk about prizes. I'm really excited. Knitting Fever, of course, outdid themselves again. And the pattern that I actually used, or the yarns I actually used for the pattern are Ella Rae's Rustic Lace. And I don't know if you guys can read this. I'm not sure if you guys are seeing it in reverse or not, but this is their quads. They don't, I don't believe these are available anymore. And Gina, in the comments, let me know if I'm wrong, because I haven't been able to find these. But I have 4 of these quads, and each one of these quads is a full skein of each color. So it's 310 yards of each color. Oh, good. Okay, thank you. I'm glad it's not in reverse. So this quad has 4 colors in a single, what would be in a single skein, the same yardage. So there's 4 of these. So these are exciting, and I love yarns that are already wound in a gradient, and you don't have to worry about tails and stuff like that. Now, if you happen to have one of these and you are using it for the crochet along, what I will note is that if you want to change colors, you're going to have some yarn of each color left over. So you might just want to cut that off like I did, and then start the next color. So just so you know. And then, so we've got 4 of those quads up for grabs. And then I have 2 sets of 4 different colors. I'm going to do that. Of the Rustic Lace in the single skeins, which all of these are still available. And they have a whole lot of colors. But these colors, I love what they sent me. Let's see. This is Orchid. And this is Seaweed. And this is Ebony. Oops, I got that one upside down. Ebony. And then this one is Sargasso, is what I'm going to call it. Sargasso. So there's enough here with the 4 skein, or the 4 skeins to make another shawl or do another project. So I have 6 prizes in all. They're really excited. Yes. You're okay. So good. Thank you, Gina. Rustic lace quad is no longer available from Knitting Fever, but your local yarn shop might still have a few skeins. And if they still have them, I can tell you that my local yarn shop, Stilly River Yarns in Stanwood, Washington, did have some in stock before I moved. So you might want to check her website. And if she doesn't have them on the website, just ask her, send her an email if you're interested in using one of the quads, and see if she still has them. So I do know she did at one point. I don't know if they're sold out. One of the things with this pandemic is that you can't go into the shops in some areas, and you don't know what they actually have on the shelves. But fortunately, Lindsay is really good at keeping her online shop updated. But I don't believe I saw the quads on her website, so she may be only putting up there the yarns that she knows that she's got and she can keep getting. So it would be well worth it to contact her. And I'll put her information in my show notes as well. So that is kind of where I'm at. I think I shared with you already. This is what I'm going to be using. Again, this is another Knitting Fever yarn, but I'm going to be using these 3 colors for my shawl as we work on the crochet along. I showed those before, but I wanted to show them again. I also wanted to tell, because somebody asked me if they could use a wheel of color. So this is I don't know how to say this properly, but is it Shutjes, something like that. The Whirls, which is a gradient. This would be a good one if you have this in your stash. I know a lot of you want to go stash diving for the mystery crochet alongs. A lot of you do that anyway. This is another one that I'm sure has enough yardage if you've got it. It's got 455 oh no, I'm sorry, take that back. It's got over 1,000 meters, so that's about 1,100 yards. It should be enough. It should be enough. I always on my patterns add 10% just in case, just so that you guys have something to go on with that. So I think that's it as far as the mystery crochet along goes. Does anybody have any questions for me about it? Oh, I know there's a couple people who said, because one of the things I always ask is that you use social media and share as you're going along. I knew this was something else I wanted to mention. As you're going along, and I know a lot of you don't have social media, so that's okay. I mean, that's not part of the being able to be a participant in the crochet along. I'm not using that as being able to be entered into the prizes this time around. This forum that I have set up is, I don't know if it's going to be just for crochet alongs at this point, and my pattern testing, if I'm going to open it up to the public either. I've got some forums in there that look like I could open it up to the public, and I'm really thinking about that right now, if that's the way I want to go. I'm not 100% sure. I might be looking for people who volunteer to be moderators in the forum. So if you're interested in that too. But the forum for my crochet alongs, I think, is kind of important because it's how you guys get to know each other. You can get help. You can have access to me. And then also, I forgot, once we drop the first clue, I believe it might be the week before we drop the first clue, I might do a poll on the forum about having Zoom office hours. To help you individually if you need to talk to me in person rather than online. So I'll put a post there and let you know what my times are. I'll probably do, because because of the way my schedule is, and that I'm on the West Coast and a lot of you on the East Coast or in different parts of the world, the West Coast of the United States, I should say. I want to be able to get all of you. So it might be like, I'll do like maybe a Tuesday morning, I'll be on for an hour or so, and then maybe like a Thursday evening or something like that, just so that you have some options to be able to talk to me if that's the case. And if you really are struggling, don't hesitate to contact me in person, and I can set up a private Zoom call just for you. So let's not worry about that. And I think we're good there. So does anybody have any questions or want to say anything or ask me about something else? I think I covered all the questions I got in my email about Yardage. I can't guarantee the numbers I'm giving you because I haven't swatched it yet. I'm planning to swatch it before I start, just to make sure that my yardage is going to come out right. But I'm overestimating when I say 1,400 of fingering and 1,600 of sport weight. So there you go. Anybody have any questions? So how's everybody doing with the shutdowns? Have you guys opened up anywhere? We're in phase 1.5 where I am. I moved from an area that was in phase 2 to an area that is now in 1.5. So I was able to do a few things before we moved that I can't do anymore. So it's been interesting learning my new location without being able to go anywhere. I literally have a yarn shop that's that direction, I guess. She's like 2 minutes away and I can't go. So I'm kind of anxious for us to open up a little more so I can go check out my new yarn shop in the local area. I'm also, it's kind of funny because I've gone from having Western Washington where there's like the whole, west side of Washington, we have for our yarn tours, like usually 25, 26 shops that you get part of. And there's the one here in town that I'm close to. And the next closest one is in Walla Walla, which is an hour away. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to be doing a lot of yarn shopping online. I mentioned Stilly River in Stanwood. She was my local yarn shop when I was on the west side, and I can still consider her my local yarn shop. I know her well, and I can contact her and just say, hey, I'm looking for this, and she'll steer me in the right direction. So anybody have anything you want to say? Are you guys open? Are you feeling like you have a little more mobility? I know that the move helped me. I feel like I got something different going on in my life right now. So that's helped a lot. But I hope that you guys are all doing great and are starting to see things open up at least a little bit. I had to have some of my coffee here. So anybody have anything they want to talk about? I can tell you one thing I might tell you is that in the next week or so, you're going to see an announcement for my first official online class. I am teaching one this weekend that is private to a guild. So that's actually my first official online class. Oh, good. I'm glad you're doing pretty well in New York. And New York has been in the news a lot. So I'm glad you guys are doing well. That's that's besides Seattle, New York has been a pretty big hot spot. So I'm glad you guys are starting to feel like you're doing better over there. What was I saying? Oh, I'm doing a class this weekend for a guild, and I think you might have seen me post about it on Instagram and maybe Facebook. I'm doing my reversible shells. The lighting in here is terrible, so I apologize. But it's a reversible shell pattern that I'm teaching. And if all goes well, this class will be on my new online platform that I'm getting ready to launch probably in sometime in September is my goal. But there's also going to be, in about a week, I'm going to be announcing another online class that I'm doing on Zoom, and it's actually in conjunction with Stilly River. It's for her shop, but it's open to anybody, and we're going to have up to 15 people in the class. And I will tell you, it's my beginning sock class, and it's going to be a 4-week class. So if you're interested, keep watching my social media, but also my newsletter subscribers will get the first news about it. So if you're not a subscriber to my newsletter, go to KarenHooley.com/subscribe and make sure you subscribe so you get the news as soon as it's updated. You can also go on the front page of my website. If you scroll down a little bit, it's where my calendar of events is usually, and since all my live events have been canceled, I haven't put that class in because I just got the contract signed today. But there's a button there that you can click on to be notified of just my education. And if you want to subscribe to that part of my newsletter, if you're on my main newsletter, you get everything. But there's some people who just want to know about my classes. So I have that option now, and you'll also get notified. My newsletter, my main newsletter, I'll hear about it first, but then my education newsletter will get a separate email that gets that notification as well. So I'm excited about that. There'll be 15 people. I don't have the pricing ready to go. The shop has just sent me an email and I haven't gone through it. So I will give you all of that in the newsletter. And maybe next week too, I will talk about that class a little more in depth and show you the sample. I'm almost done with the second sock. So as soon as, I think tonight is when I'm going to have that finished. And then I will start posting social media and pictures and all that stuff once all the links are live to register. So that's new. There's a couple other things that are happening in September that I can't talk about quite yet. And then my next new pattern release will be in October. And there's actually another release that's going to happen in October that I'm dying to share with you guys, but I can't right now. It's in the final phases of being worked on and being ready to release. So as soon as that happens, I will let you know. But I'm so excited about it. It's something that I have been wanting to do for a long time. So that's all I can tell you, because if I say any more, I'm gonna tell you guys what it is. Anyway, that's where I'm at. And if anybody's just joined me, go ahead and tell me who you are in chat. And I'm here to answer any questions about crochet. So if you've got any, let me know. Otherwise, I'll give you a few more minutes and then we'll go ahead and let it go for the day. I'm having my morning coffee. For me, it's only 9:30 here in Western Washington. So I am on my second cup of coffee, but it's been quite a week. My son came into town, not yesterday, the night before last. The night before last, for a visit. So he's actually, if you see anybody walking by my door here, that's been him. So. Yes, I know. I'm excited for the future too. And I know you've been in class, in a couple of my classes, and you've been following me for a while. It's Jane, right? I've been trying to remember your name. It's Jane, right? Jane. I'm so excited that you were able to join me live. It's because of this whole pandemic. I mean, I stopped for a while doing this because I was having some troubles with YouTube, but I decided to come back. Yes, there you go. And I decided to come back to YouTube because it seems like it's the easiest right now for me to do. I mean, I'm comfortable with it now, but I haven't had any, knock on wood, anybody troll, I guess that's the word, troll my chat. So hopefully in the future, I'm probably going to be asking to find somebody to help me moderate the chat when that happens. So that, so if you're interested in that, let me know. I miss being able to go to live shows, Jane. I mean, CGOA being canceled was really, really tough for me this year. I'm also, I had 1, 2, 3 other shows that have been canceled, and it's just been wild. So, but I'm excited now that I'm learning how to use the internet and be able to connect with you guys. It's funny too, because I've always been a technical person, and this whole world of streaming classes and stuff is very new to me. I mean, I used to troubleshoot hardware and write software for dental offices. So this is a whole new world for me, even though it is right in my wheelhouse of technology. So I'm learning as I go. So I'm hoping that my followers will take that into consideration as they're taking classes from me or doing live stuff with me. So those, yes, CGOA is always a good time and educational and inspirational. I know. I'm so bummed. I'm glad that they were able to go with online classes. I don't know how they're going right now because of my move, I opted out because they couldn't tell me exactly what they were doing at the time. I needed to know what they were doing. So I opted out of doing the online classes for my classes. But I'm really excited because thanks, Jane. Hi, Libby. Good to see you too. I'm glad you've had a lot of yarn to keep you busy. Yes, the smiles and the stuff. I mean, that's what I was just saying with Jane too, is not being able to just hug you guys or to be able to chat with you one-on-one as I'm talking. Eventually I want to do some Zoom lives where people can just pop on in and maybe for an hour or so we can just talk together. I'm still trying to figure that part out. So that might be happening too in the future. I know how to do them one-on-one, but the group ones, because right now I'm only on the free Zoom because I'm still learning it. I didn't want to put the money out quite yet until I know what I'm doing. I only have a 40-minute window. So I might try a 40-minute window though and just see how it goes. I have been doing that with my pattern testers and I know that worked out really well. I know Gina had tested the pattern I'm releasing in October. So she was on a couple of those and that worked pretty well. But I miss you guys. I really do. I'm hoping that within the next year, I'm hoping that I'm scheduled to teach at a live event here locally in Washington in February. And I haven't heard anything different that it's been canceled or going virtual, but I'm really hoping that it gets to stay alive because there's something about being with you guys that inspires me. I mean, I hope to inspire you, but for me, teaching at a live event and seeing all of you actually inspires a lot more for me. So, okay, Jane, I will do that. I've been using it a long time for business meetings and stuff like that. But actually being the person running it is the one that has been interesting for me to learn. And there's been a couple hiccups here and there. So yeah, I will try it. I will try to do one. Maybe in September I'll get that going. I've got so much leading up to September that I'm like, it's funny because usually most people, when they move, they stop things. But for me to be able to function in a stressful environment, I have to keep adding things. So I'm finally learning in the last couple weeks to say, okay, enough, stop, and just reassess and do that. So, oh, you're at work. Okay, thanks, Jane. So anybody have any other questions for me? Eventually, I'll figure out how to share my temporary office. I mean, it's not very big. You can probably see it's not very big. Back here is my winding station with a project that I will be releasing probably later this year or in January that I'm working on. I have a little chair back there. It's kind of a recliner type chair. It has an ottoman that you can't see in front that I can crochet on. And on top of it is my backdrop for when I do video. And then behind me, I have a bookcase that's just kind of temporarily holding stuff. That's not, normally it has all of my crochet books. And it's usually laying horizontally instead of vertically. But again, the space in this office. And then I have like, I have French doors. This originally was supposed to be my husband's office because he works from home full time too. And, but when he realized how much stuff I have, and I have so much stuff in storage, in the storage unit that I can't even get to right now. So, Gina's asking where my stash is. I'm going to move my camera so you can see my stash. There is my stash. There you go. And that's, right now it's pretty small because I'm not buying a whole lot of yarn. I'm trying to get through some of my yarn, but there we go. And there's a project bag right there that has some stuff in it. But that's my stash right now. I'm gonna move this back up here so you can see me. So yeah, so my stash is over there, and then I think that's it on the walls. You saw my little plants. Oops, let's fix that. There you go. And then I'm facing the window to the front of the house, so the light is actually coming to me. And I didn't realize I didn't put makeup on today because I've kind of had a rough start to the morning, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the light is showing all the little imperfections in my skin right now. So, but you know, it's the pandemic and we're shut in, and so I don't do a whole lot right now because there's not a whole lot to do. So anyway, hi Deborah. I haven't started a Christmas blanket. Actually, though, my daughter, I think I've mentioned this before, my daughter is getting married next year. And when she started college, I was supposed to make her a crocheted cable blanket out of chunky yarn. And that never happened. She graduated just this last May. So she and I were talking about it. And I'm probably going to make that blanket for her as a wedding gift. So that might be something I'm starting around Christmas time. But I am not starting a Christmas. Anybody else starting a Christmas blanket? Now, Deborah, is that something you do all the time? Do a Christmas blanket every year, or is it a gift thing that you do, or? Okay. Anybody else have any questions before I go? I feel like I've been talking your ear off, but not answering much. Next week, I think I'm going to, I'm not 100% sure. Hopefully I'll have all of the details for my new class, so we'll talk about that. Yes, handmade gifts this holiday season. Yes, Gina, that is something I'm kind of hoping to be able to do this holiday season too. I'm a knitter and a crocheter, and my kids usually, and my husband usually get a pair of socks for Christmas. I knit socks most of the time. I do crochet socks, obviously, because I'm teaching a class. But knitting, for some reason, knitting socks for me is a very soothing thing. So that's something that happens every year is knitting socks. Although the crocheted sock that I'm working on, I'll show you next week, both of my kids love them. So I might be making those socks. Okay, Deborah. Doing a Christmas one for you. You know, that's actually a really good idea. I never really thought about that because Christmas is my favorite time of year. And I have done ornaments, and I have done little things like stockings. In fact, one of the things I want to do for our new house, because we won't be having Christmas in our new house this year, but I'm hoping for the first Christmas in next 2021 is to have brand new Christmas stockings, because our old ones that I made when the kids were babies, and my youngest is now 22, are starting to finally fall apart. So as much as I want to keep them, and they will be probably heirlooms, I do want to make some Christmas stockings for everybody. So that's a good idea, though. I never thought about doing a blanket. That might be something to think about for this year. Give me something to do for the house. I like that idea. Anybody else got Christmas gifts planned? Still got about 15 minutes I can stay on. So is anybody working on Christmas gifts this year? There's my son in the background. I don't know if you saw him. He's making his bed. We don't have an extra bedroom right now in this temporary house, so he gets to sleep in the living room on the lazy boy bed that pulls out the convertible couch. So anyway, does anybody have any Christmas gifts planned that they can share online? I mean, I know a lot of people like to keep everything secret, but I told you about my socks. Those are the ones I know for sure that'll happen this year. Other than that, I don't know. Snowflake blanket for the winter. Yes, there's a couple beautiful patterns out there for snowflakes. Gosh, I don't know where she had it published, but my friend Tammy Hildebrand had a beautiful snowflake Afghan in one of the magazines several years ago. I want to say it was Crochet magazine. It was just gorgeous. Oh my gosh. I've always thought about that too. So snowflakes are pretty, and I'm a blue and white kind of Christmas girl, you know, any of the blues. So I've always wanted like an icy blue with white snowflakes type of blanket. Are you talking about actually knitting, Deborah, or did you want to do a crocheted sock? Just so you know, because I'd be glad to do a knit along, because the sock pattern that I use for knitting is my grandmother's sock pattern that she used to knit all the family when she was still alive. So I know that. Yeah, Gina, it's Tammy Hildebrand, Hildbrand, I think. There might be an E between the D and the B. But she had a beautiful one. It might be on Ravelry if you go on there. But yeah, I'd be glad to do a knit along with my sock, and I can actually maybe even teach the how to knit a sock for those who are knitters and never knit socks. I'm not a real comfortable teacher when it comes to knitting, although I am willing to do like one-on-one classes with people. I might even, someone had asked me if I would do like a Zoom class just to do like show people how I cast on and how I knit and how I purl because I learned to crochet when I was 7 years old. And it took me, even though I had a grandmother and a mother-in-law and other people in my life who were knitters, it took me until I was 37 years old to learn how to knit. And that's because I got so used to holding my yarn in my left hand, because I'm a right-handed crocheter, that I needed to be able to learn how to knit continental. So it took me a while. So, okay, Deborah, I'll see what I can do about, okay. I will look into that. I will think about that, because I'm going to be starting probably in September or October when I start knitting socks, because I usually start knitting socks, you know, in fall, because it's just what I do. It's usually what I do when I'm watching football, and I don't know if I'm going to have a football season to watch this year, but yeah, that's where I'm at with socks. So I will definitely, Deborah, keep you in the loop on that, and everybody in the loop on that if I'm going to do that. And even would you be interested, Deborah, in if I did like an open Zoom where I got on for an hour and showed you what I was doing and how I did it and that kind of thing, or just want to have a group of people who are knitting socks to knit socks? Gina, I've been crocheting since I was a teenager, and now it's this common theme with those of us who learn how to crochet first, that it takes a while to learn to knit. And my grandmother, I have two grandmothers, one that was mainly a crocheter and one that was mainly a knitter. They both could do both, but one liked one better, one liked the other better. So my grandmother, who was my mom's mom, taught me to crochet. And then shortly thereafter, my dad's mom, who's the knitter, tried to teach me knit. She died. I learned to crochet when I was 7, and my grandmother, who was the knitter, died when I was 9. And I promised her on her deathbed I would learn to knit. And it only took me like, 28 years to make good on that, but that's kind of what I did. But the problem is that I learned to crochet first, and I held my yarn in my right left hand, and everybody in my family is a thrower. So that's why it took me so long to learn to knit, is because it took somebody who knew how to continental knit with the yarn in there. Because I knit holding the yarn the same way I do as I crochet. So it makes a huge difference. And in fact, the very first project, once I figured out knitting and purling, which was like a week of just practicing on a scarf, my very first knit project was a sweater for my husband. So once you get it, you just get it. So, okay, Deborah, I'll do something. I'll figure out a way to do something hopefully this fall. It depends on my schedule too, but if it's just doing like a live thing once in a while, I might be able to do that. So we'll do something. We'll definitely do something. Okay, so I've got another 10 minutes or so. So is there anything else? One of the things too, I might as well, since we're talking about different things to learn about and do, I am getting ready. I've already bought all the software and everything. I'm getting ready to put an educational piece on my website where you can sign up for classes. I'm going to be doing a few free classes. I'm going to do some very inexpensive classes, and then I'm going to be doing some full-on, maybe hours classes. Like one of the biggest classes that people want me to teach is my top-down sweaters class, and that's going to be an intensive class with a lot of handouts and a lot of formulas and stuff. So I don't know when that particular class is going to go live, but be watching for that this fall as well. I really want to get some sort of an online platform. It's because of the fact that I can't reach you guys any other way at this point. It's got to be online. So and I know there's a lot of classes that a lot of you have asked for that I teach at Crochet Guild of America, or I teach at Fiber Fusion, or all the other events that I teach at, Interweave and all those. So this is a way for those of you who can't get even to the live events, if they do eventually come back, to be able to take some of my classes at a reasonable price without leaving your home. So anyway, that's all I've got for you today, unless you guys have any more questions or want to say anything. Otherwise, I will see you next week. I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds here while I have some coffee to clear my throat. Moving to a new area, my whole allergy system has changed too. So I just had some allergy testing done last week. So hopefully I'll hear soon if I need to go on shots again or whatever. You're welcome, Jane. Thanks, Gina, for being here. It's great to be able to talk to you guys again. I missed these live chats. So I'm really grateful you guys joined me again. So I will see you next week. Bring your coffee, bring your project. I'll probably have a project with me next week too. So take care, and I will see you next time. Thanks, everyone.